Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. How are you doing? My name is Amanda Ellis, and a very warm welcome to my channel, whether you're new or whether you've been with me quite some time. Before we get into the subject of today's video, which is going to be Donald Trump, and I will just put a timestamp that I'm recording this on the 31st of May, Friday, and it's 20 to 4 UK time. So as I record this, he hasn't given his press conference, which I believe is happening today. It's literally just the morning after, the night before, where he was found guilty on a number of charges in New York. I'm not going to go into the case and what it was all about. A quick search of Google, it will take you seconds to find out what the case was all about if you really don't know. But I suspect most of you do know. My job today is to bring some commentary through with regards to what I'm feeling spiritually, to hopefully give some guidance to a divided nation to come together in unity as much as you can. And I know that's a very tall order at the moment because emotions are very heightened. I am going to be talking from a middle way perspective. And middle way is not about sitting on the fence and not having an opinion. Middle way, or violet pill as I call it, is about being able to hear and see all sides to the debate, or to be able to see all sides to a person. That there is no one person on this planet at the moment who is, as the Bible says, without sin. I know it's an old-fashioned word, but it's true. And also there is no person on this planet who is without light. We are all dualistic creatures, some more than others. Yes, I completely understand that. But we are going to stay violet pill with regards to this teaching and this commentary. I will tag below the violet pill teachings that I've done so far. They go back a couple of years, but they're still all very relevant. Have I read on Trump before? Yes, I have, but I haven't done so for quite some time. But it does feel as though today would be a good opportunity to do so. I will pull some cards, but I'm less interested in some of the questions with regards to, is he going to go to jail, all that type of stuff. I am more interested in how can you help yourself through these tumultuous times. If you're an American, how can you be the best version of yourself through a time of great turmoil in your country? And how can you stay on your spiritual path and walk the talk, no matter what happens, whatever side of the political debate you are? And I'm proud that I've got people who follow me that are Trump supporters. I'm proud that I've got people who follow me that also are Biden supporters, not necessarily because I'm particularly fond of either Biden or Trump, I have to be honest, but just because it shows that we can have people of different opinions on this channel, and hopefully we can sit together and learn from each other. What we're not going to do is attack each other via this video though. Okay, so the comments will be moderated if they are on at all. Let's use this as a healing portal to come together, to try to understand a little bit more from a higher perspective with regards to what's actually going on. And let's just get straight to it. So, where to start? Where to start? I've just written a few notes down here, and let me just go through them in no particular order. I've written here that the biggest losers in all of this, with regards to the state of American politics per se, across the board, the diseased bird, as I've called it in previous videos, that both wings of the same bird are diseased. The bird effectively needs to sort of be put down and out of its misery. And that is the old paradigm of politics. Left versus right, you versus me, the pendulum swings, one party's in for a number of years, then the other party comes in, then it swaps again. And of course, this isn't just an American thing, it is across the world. In the UK, my country, 4th of July, I know your Independence Day, we will be having our general election. And yeah, I'll be reading on that separately another time. But the Conservative Party, which would be your version of Republicans, have been in power for 14 years here. And probably the pendulum will swing back the other way. But ultimately, it's not really getting us anywhere, whether it's UK, whether it's USA. This division and separation and the alienation from each other, as well as the alienation from those that lead, is just growing more and more each day. So there has to be another way, and there will be another way that comes in. But we know that USA, of course, is having its Pluto return. And so it's no surprise that the tower has to fall. Not just there, but obviously I'm particularly talking about USA in this video because we're talking Donald Trump. So yes, the biggest losers are the American people. What we're basically seeing with the American election, and this is repeated elsewhere, is a choice between two people who, part of the population, don't have a particular appetite for. I know some of you that watch me love Trump and have got an appetite for him, but there is definitely a proportion of the population that looks at both Biden and Trump and wishes for a third option. And it feels as though it's lacking. I can hear some of you saying, well, hold on a minute, Amanda, what about RFK Jr.? Yes, I have read on RFK and I will do so again, but I'm going to just keep his energy out of this for the purposes of this video. What I'm really trying to say is that the choice that people have when they go to the ballot box isn't great. And it's a symptom of the fact that the old political system has to die away for the new to come in. And so we're seeing that everywhere, but we're particularly seeing that in America. If you actually take all of the emotion out of Trump versus Biden, and you take all the rights and wrongs, and you're going to disagree amongst yourself with regards to who's right, who's wrong, we just look at the fact that we've got two pretty old white men. Nothing wrong with being old or white, by the way. But if you look at the population of USA, it isn't just men, old white men in their 70s who are visible. Ideally, as I've always said, unity consciousness has a circular government. What that means is a government that is made up of representatives from all different parties, all different cultures within the country, different races, different ages, different gender, etc. It's what I call the round table. And if you are completely new to my work and don't know who I am, I have brought through and I'm going to continue to bring through some work with regards to the King Arthur energy and Camelot, which is all about the round table. And the round table is basically where we need to get to. It's also where what JFK and John Lennon talked about in a channeling that I did many years ago, and many of you remember. And I'd like to just remind you of that today, because right now it feels very far off. It feels like a promised land that we're never going to arrive at. That if you remember that video that I'm referencing, how on earth could we ever sit in Central Park in a circle beside the person, not that we particularly like, not that we particularly resonate with politically or socially, but the person who we have a difference with? And how can we get to a place where we sit in union with another and we put our differences aside and we work for the common good of a country, of a continent, of the whole world? But more than anything, we work together for each other. Is it a utopian pipe dream? No, but right now, absolutely, it feels a far, far off land. But it's far, far off because not enough of us believe that it's possible to bridge this great divide that we've got right now in our world. I believe it is possible, but I believe it comes down to individual actions. It comes down to listening to each other. And more than anything, it also comes down to, and this is the triggering bit, putting down our egoic mind that always thinks that we're right and the other side is wrong. The truth is that there's probably a little bit of right and a little bit of wrong in both sides of the camp. Going back to this trial of Donald, what I've written down on some notes here, and I really feel this, is that most politicians, I would say probably the vast majority of politicians, if you were to go back and comb through their back history, you would find something that they have to answer for. I'll just repeat that. Most politicians, if you go through their back history, have something to answer for. Particularly the ones that have been around a while on the world stage, okay, this old guard. There aren't many completely clean politicians out there. And I think it's very important to remember this diseased bird, that the wings of both sides are diseased. And I feel as though the position that America is in now with Donald Trump, and we'll come to him in a moment in terms of some messages with regards to him, the state that America finds itself in, which is a presidential candidate with a criminal conviction, whether he goes to prison or not before the actual election remains to be seen. I can't quite see that myself, but it's a potentiality that is there. This is not, in any stretch of anybody's imagination, an ideal scenario for your country. Just take the emotion out of it. Whatever you think of him, whether you love him or not, it's not an ideal scenario. And I think a lot of the responsibility actually lies with the Republican Party itself. The people that nominate whoever is going to stand, because it feels as though the party itself haven't been able to see this juggernaut that was very clearly coming into view. None of what has happened yesterday is a surprise. None of the future few weeks or months ahead are much of a surprise. Anybody with half a brain basically could see that we were going to be in this position, that he likely would be convicted. And that doesn't mean that I personally feel that I agree with that decision. I just feel as though it was a foregone conclusion that he would be. Some will say because he was guilty. Other people will say it's because it was rigged. And he, as he himself says, even Mother Teresa wouldn't have got off these charges. But the Republican Party must have seen this coming. This is why I say the biggest losers in all of this are actually the American people. You haven't got a candidate in either Biden or Trump that genuinely most people could be proud of. I know some of you are, but I just think if you really go up to a bird's eye view and you think about what's best for your country, the ideal scenario that I always saw, but I knew would never happen, would have been for both Trump and Biden to have stepped down and to have allowed in fresh blood, basically, fresh new candidate who could take on the mantle of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, and we would be having a different conversation. Now, I completely understand that that was never going to happen, but it also was never going to happen because of the tower that needed to fall. So those people that obviously love Trump will say that he is exposing what needs to be exposed, including the corruption within the legal profession, the judicial profession, and that they will stop at nothing to stop him from getting back into power. That's what his supporters would say. The other side of the debate would of course not agree with that and would say the counter opposite, that he is actually maybe karmically reaping the consequences of what he's done, maybe not within just the last few years, but within his lifetime, that this is some sort of karmic payback for how he has behaved throughout his business career, for example, or his dealings with people, Stormy Daniels being just one of them, whilst he was a politician. Both of those perspectives are not going to back down with this latest development of him being convicted. If anything, what I see intuitively is both sides digging in the trenches deeper than they were before. So whatever you thought of him before is probably what you still feel now. I don't feel as though the verdict has changed much in most people's minds. If anything, I will pull some cards on it, but if anything, my gut feel is that more people might have woken up and be pro him. Now, or not necessarily him and everything he's about, but just somehow this doesn't feel as though it was conducted as fairly as it could have been. I believe, I haven't got all the details in front of me, I believe the judge said something along the lines of that it didn't have to be a unanimous vote or something to find him guilty. I believe that's right. I don't know. I don't want to get into all the details of it, but I'm just telling you from where I'm sitting over the other side of the pond, I'm getting a sense that it feels as though when he says they are out to get me, there is a truth to that. Because if we go back to the fact that most politicians, if you go through their back history, have something to answer for, why now, basically? It's a timing thing. Why now? It's happening now because they want to stop him getting into power. If he has a case to answer, and he may very well have a case to answer, why now? Does Biden, for example, have a case to answer with regards to other things? I don't know, obviously, because I'm not in USA, what the wall-to-wall coverage is, and I suspect that the channels that you watch are very split down Republican or Democratic lines, and so maybe you're not seeing a very middle way coverage. And I'm not saying we particularly are here either, but I will tell you that one of the leading tabloid newspapers here in the UK, about a week ago, I think it was, ran their headline story was with regards to Ashley Biden, Joe Biden's daughter, coming out and confirming that the contentious diary that was found actually is hers. And no one's talking about that, though. You know, that actually within that diary, there essentially are accusations of impropriety, and I'm careful how I'm putting this, with regards to his conduct with her as a younger child, taking showers together, she felt uncomfortable, all this type of stuff. So has that been swept under the carpet in USA, or has it not? Are the dodgy dealings in Joe's back pocket with regards to money? If I was a betting person, I would say yes. Do I think there are probably some dodgy dealings in Trump's back pocket? If I'm honest, yes. Do I think that it's just Joe Biden and Donald Trump that have had dodgy dealings? I'm not necessarily talking with regards to the Ashley Biden stuff, but just I'm talking money and accountability, maybe the way that they've treated people over the years. Do I think this is just an American problem? No, I don't. I keep going back to this message that I'm hearing from Spirit, which is that most politicians, if you go through their back history, have something to answer for. So why now? Why now? And I think more people are maybe now starting to question why now. And I see that the actual verdict will be on the 11th of July. I'll pull a card on that from this deck. Let me just shuffle that. But it's interesting, it's a number 11, isn't it? Because 11 is a day of mastery. It is a day of complete duality. It is a gateway. And the question is, what is this a gateway to? Some people are saying this is a gateway to a Trump victory, that his supporters are emboldened, that more people are seeing through what this trial was, that it's going to backfire, basically, on the Democrats. Other people are saying that the gateway is to maybe a prison cell or certainly an exit from the political stage. We don't know. I do agree very much with RFK Jr.'s position, which is that let the American people decide. Let the American people decide. And there was a... I might try and find the RFK quote actually now. Let me just pause the camera. Yeah, this was... Robert put this up on X last night. I was just going to read it to you, because I think this is quite an intelligent middle way response, basically. He said, the Democratic Party's strategy is to beat President Trump in the courtroom rather than the ballot box. This will backfire in November. Even worse, it is profoundly undemocratic. America deserves a president who can win at the ballot box without compromising our government's separation of powers or weaponizing the courts. You can't save democracy by destroying it first. The Democrats are afraid that they will lose in the voting booth, so instead they go after President Trump in the courtroom. I'm also running against President Trump in this election. The difference is that I'm challenging him on his record, his lockdowns during COVID, his environmental record, his cozy relationship with corporate America, his support for the war machine, his failure to root out waste and corruption in Washington, his service to the billionaire class, his bloating of the national debt. These are the issues that shape American lives. I'll challenge him on these things, but the Democrats won't. You know why? Because they pursue the very same policies. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it sort of rang true to me when I read it last night. I liked what I heard from him there. I will also say that I saw this from somebody on X. I don't even know who this person is, but I agree with this as well. It says, the first felony conviction of a former US president wasn't for the Iraq or Afghanistan wars. It wasn't for illegal CIA coups. It wasn't for drone striking weddings or spying on Americans. It was because Trump misclassified a $130,000 payment for a porn star's NDA. Tells you everything you need to know. I think actually I saw this because Elon Musk reposted it. Elon Musk, I know, is a very controversial figure as well. But there is truth to that. I think even if you're a real anti-Trumper, as it were, we have to be honest and realise that there are so many things that we could call accountability for with regards to our politicians, whether it is lockdowns, for example, whether, I'm not going to get into it all, but there are many things, aren't there, that we could call them to account for, and that maybe legally were not right, that they didn't, it wasn't a legal thing. I'm not talking lockdowns here, just generally, but it is this that has caught him. So what I'm being shown by Metatron is a fishing rod, and it's as though Trump is on the end of the hook, but they caught him. It's as though it's actually quite a small fish, okay? What he means by small fish is that there were much bigger fish in the pond, not necessarily linked all to Trump, but linked into politicians per se, that this politician could have been hooked and not acquitted, could have been hooked and accused and tried and found guilty for this. Think Julian Assange, my friends. Let's get back to Julian, somebody that most of us can unite behind Julian. Whether you're right, whether you're left, most people can. I know not everyone can. Think about everything that Julian Assange has exposed with regards to politicians. If you really know what Julian tried to expose, many things that he tried to expose, it isn't a left or right issue. It's basically a human rights issue. And so that's what Metatron means by they managed to hook. They've got Trump on this hook. They've got him for something. But actually, I'm not saying it's not important. And if it's true that he's guilty of that, he shouldn't be called to account. But there were much bigger things that other politicians and maybe Trump himself have done that are not being called out. So you have to just raise an eyebrow to that, basically. I think if you are truly trying to follow a middle way path. Now, I'm going to read out a message that came in from one of you just now, just as I was about to record this. I'm not going to say your name because I know you're a regular follower. You're one of my followers in America. I'm very grateful to your support. I know that you're very passionate. It sounds like you're quite passionate about politics. I've noticed your comments from time to time. But put it this way. This is the thing. This is when we're doing it wrong. What I mean by that, I'm not meaning it in a school teachery way. I'm just trying to say that we're not listening to each other, that we're not able to see that other people don't agree with our perspective, and that our perspective isn't always. This is the comment. This person says, looking forward to your Trump video. What happened in America yesterday was ground shaking. The American justice system prevailed. Something normal has finally happened, which we haven't been used to here in so many years. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just the fact that in your eyes, the American justice system got it right, okay? Trump is guilty. Something normal has happened. He's been held to account. Hallelujah, we're back onto the place we should be at. But the problem is that half of the population don't agree with you. And this is why somehow we've got to get past these divisions and put down our differences and maybe our need to be right. To be honest, it's almost getting to the point, not just with Trump, but with lots of situations where if we could just sort of scratch our heads and say, do you know what? I actually don't know. For example, whether he is guilty of this. I haven't really made up my mind in terms of what I think about this person. But do you know what? I wish for the highest good. I wish for the highest good for my country. I wish for the highest good for this person. I wish the highest good for my neighbour that sees differently from me. And more than anything, anybody that's out there prancing around on the streets today, dancing, rubbing salt in an open wound to those that are very upset. I'm not saying this person was doing that, they weren't. But, I've seen a bit of that on social media. That is not walking the talk. And that's an unpopular opinion probably, but it's the truth. It's not walking the talk. Sometimes there are parts of the spiritual journey where we can really vehemently disagree with somebody. And once we've said our piece and, the other person knows that, well, I'm sorry, I just don't agree with you. The opportunity is, well, as Christ says, turn the other cheek. Right. I'm going to pull a card from the Christ deck in a moment. Let's just pull a card with regards to the 11th of July, the sentencing. Okay, so the deck that I'm using here is the Tarot of the Witch's Garden. And we're going to have 3 cards, please, from this deck. Oh, I forgot that I paused my camera. I was going to say, hold on, I've been talking for more than 7 minutes, haven't I? Yes. We've got the 4 of Cups. We've got the 7 of Swords. We've got the Empress on the bottom of the deck, but I will pull one more. I have to say that I was pulling cards before the guilty verdict came in, and the 7 of Swords kept coming up all the time. Now, the 7 of Swords is the card of deception and lies and manipulation. You see, in light of what we're talking about today, there's not even going to be agreement on what that card means, because some people will say, well, he's getting sentenced for the lies and the deceit and the manipulation that he's done. Other people will say that 7 of Swords there is that there is a underhand move by the Empress, interestingly. I mean, the Empress, to me, also represents the Statue of Liberty. There's deceit afoot in New York. Where does the Statue of Liberty stand. She stands in the harbour at New York, doesn't she? So the Empress to me feels like that's the Statue of Liberty. She's got the crown on the top of her head. Next to her is the Seven of Swords, which is the card of deception, lies and manipulation. The Four of Cups. Oh, sorry, it's the Four of Cups. Did I say that? Did I say Four of Pentacles? Four of Cups. So in this deck, I'll see what this is in a minute. Four of Cups is disappointment, disillusionment. We have a sort of fairy with dejected wings hiding underneath this giant mushroom. Mushrooms grow in the dark, somebody mentioned recently. So it's quite a dark place, but there's this gleeful sprite on top of the mushroom. I want to say lording it over and happy at the plight of the one here. I mean, I saw some of the pictures outside court. I mean, I know you're not like that follow me, but my God. I mean, talk about a circus. A circus is in town. Is the circus being whipped up, or are people really that lunatics? Just like lunatics. I saw something. There was this woman, I think she was a Biden supporter, and wasn't she smothering her breast, getting her breasts out, smothering some Trump supporter or something? And then saw something else, which was like some British couple got harangued and almost like, I don't know, all just horrible. Circus time, basically. But anyway, what we've got here is a dejected fairy sitting underneath a toadstool with another fairy on top, lapping up the other one's misery. Don't be that. Don't be that. If you can't stand Trump, please don't be like that, because you're rubbing salt in other people's wounds. Because when you are gleeful at, for example, say he was going to be sentenced and imprisoned. I'm not saying that is the case, but think about your neighbour, or think about your daughter, or think about your boss, or think about your friend who actually loved Trump or loves Trump, okay? Because what you're actually doing is you're rubbing salt into their wound. We're rubbing salt into each other's wound each time we dance on somebody else's grave, basically. What is this card? It's the Nine of Cups. It's an interesting choice of deck, this. And I have to be honest, I questioned it before I came on. I was like, really? You want that deck? I'm talking about spirit. And it was like, yeah, we want this deck. And as I'm looking at this now, can you just see that? Well, obviously, it's an elemental deck. So it's about sprites and fairies and witches. And there's a crow in this one. It's as though, I mean, the Nine of Cups, there is this water spirit coming up through a tunnel, okay, of water, offering something, a green orb. The green orb represents healing. It represents hope. It represents change. It represents new direction. I think that green orb is linked into hope. It could also be the apple, you know, the New York apple, the big apple. But I'm feeling it's more an orb. It's Archangel Raphael's energy of healing, regeneration, and hope. So it just feels as though as the circus outside the trial and the sentencing ramps up and just gets ridiculous, basically. It couldn't be more dualistic or more polarized than that. We've got one that's sitting there totally distraught and upset. The other one is just, as I say, having the time of their life, having the biggest party. Spirit is just coming in and saying, you've got to heal this. My wish is for you to heal this. Now, I'm just going to pull a card in terms of why we got this Seven of Swords. It's an interesting card on this deck because I don't know whether you can actually see it with my camera, but in the background of the Seven of Swords, there is actually a campfire. It's what the two Johns talked about, John Lennon and JFK, talked about sitting around a campfire. I mean, of course, this is symbolic, but it's unity consciousness. So unity consciousness, wanting to be there, wanting to be there, but we've got the Seven of Swords in town, never a good sign. Also, Red Riding Hood. It reminds me of Red Riding Hood here. Who's the big bad wolf? Interesting. On the bottom of the deck, I've just seen that we've got the Hermit, but look at the cloaks. So Red Riding Hood, who's the big bad wolf? And then we've got the Hermit, and she's dressed in a green cloak. So green is the colour energy that we need to heal this. Is there a Green Party in America? I mean, I know you must have an environmental, or is that a nod to Robert? I don't know. It feels, let me just look up. Is there a Green Party in USA? I'm not saying they're going to win the election or anything like that, but how does green figure into USA politics? Green USA politics. What does it mean to be green politically? I don't know. US government green. Green card, no. I'm not sure about that. I won't labour that point. But anyway, what USA needs is time to heal, time to reflect, time to go within. Now, the problem is the media are not going to allow you to have that. The media are going to ramp up the drama and the circus more and more as we get closer to November. But what you need to be doing as a nation is the Hermit. I don't think this is very likely at the moment, but let's hope we can bring it a bit closer in. Because if enough go in and reflect and review and really think deeply, healing can come. We've got the Emperor as I split the deck, the Emperor. Law and order, stability can be restored. Now, we don't yet know who the Emperor is, but here I just think it's a symbol of stability, that this chaos can be quelled. I want to say something else with regards to this gloating type energy that we're seeing, or an energy of, thank God, he's convicted, it's all over, you know? Right. I'm going to give you an analogy. If you've had a bad relationship with somebody in your life who've hurt you, wounded you, you found it really difficult to get on with them, maybe you've hated them. It could be a mother, it could be a partner, it could be anybody, quite frankly. Somebody that you've never made your peace with. They've just made your life bloody difficult. Life would be better if they weren't in it. But you carry on through life. They're still there. And then maybe they pass over. They die, basically. And then there is this misconception that when they die, suddenly it's all going to be okay. They're out of the picture. I no longer have to ever talk to that person again. I no longer ever have to see that person again. You know, they're dead, it's gone. I can close the book, I can start a new chapter. However, the problem is that's rarely true, because what happens is the unhealed words and the unhealed energies and the unhealed actions from the closed book start to seep out, and the book will reopen because it's unhealed. And the danger with all of this Trump energy, for people that think, right, you know, it's a slam dunk. Is that an American expression? A slam dunk. You know, he's been convicted, he's going to be sent to jail, or if he's not sent to jail, he's certainly not going to be elected. That's it, game over. You know, we never have to really worry about him anymore. Roll on November the 5th, Democratic win or whatever win. Thank God that episode in American politics is over. I'm sorry, but it's not going to be over, because the other half of the country that is wounded haven't been acknowledged, listened to. There's no bridge. And I'm not saying by that other side were right and you were wrong. I'm not saying that at all. There has to be a bridge that is built between the two camps. This Hermit card, What is the word I'm searching for? There is a word, I can't think what it is. What I'm basically seeing in my mind's eye is, after an event, well, for example, there's one happening at the moment in my country, probably in yours as well. After the whole pandemic and the way that the government handled the pandemic, right or wrong, whatever you think about that, they're having a big review and not tribunal, committee. They're calling in lots of people to talk about what happened, what can we learn from it. Now, you might think it's a load of nonsense and it's not being conducted very well, but it's still important to have it. That's what I'm feeling is needed, that after the Trump years, I don't want to call them the Trump years, because Trump is just there to show the divisions that were always latent beneath the surface. Okay, Biden is also there to show the divisions that are beneath the surface. Both of them at soul level are big souls. They are master souls, and master souls can be both light and dark. If you've watched my video, Violet Pill video on, it's called something like Adventures of the Soul, Multidimensional Adventures of the Soul, a Violet Pill special, you will understand that master souls come in to teach master lessons, not just for themselves, but for the collective. These are two master souls. This is masterclass. Is USA able to learn from what has happened over the last few years? What can you learn from it? What shouldn't ever happen again? How can the bridge be rebuilt? How can we make sure in the future that we don't become so divided after we've healed? I know you haven't healed yet, but that's where we're going. I'll also say at this point that I know a lot of people talk about and worry about the fact that America is on the brink of some type of civil war, or certainly the splitting up of states within. The splitting up of states within, I think, is likely, certainly in my lifetime, absolutely. But the civil war thing, I'm not sure on. I mean, I'm always a glass half full girl, okay? As she takes a little sip of licorice. Hold on. So I came here, my soul came here to try to prevent disasters, to try to remind people of their light. That's my job. So I'm never going to be the first to come out and say you're headed to civil war, because equally what that does is then it weaves a spell. It helps to manifest that timeline in. Are the timelines out there that can lead to it? Yes, there are. But are they the ones that we should be focusing on? No, they're not. As a light worker, walking the talk, your job is to try to avert that, to stop that from happening. And as unsexy as it sounds, it begins with you. It begins with you reaching out the olive branch to your neighbour who is of a different political persuasion, who is either upset that Trump has been convicted or is jumping for joy that Trump has been convicted, but they have the polar opposite perspective that you do. Now, I know this is not easy, so put it this way. I actually feel quite neutral on Trump. I'll come to that in a moment. But the point is, say I had a very, very strong opinion either way, and I saw my neighbour, I don't know, jumping for joy or wailing in misery, and it created a reaction in me physically, okay? So say, for example, you're upset that he's been convicted, but your neighbour is in the street jumping up and down holding a party. You're going to feel angry. You're going to feel upset. You're going to feel disappointed. Whatever you're feeling is valid. I'm not saying just leave it and pretend it's not happening. You're having a physical reaction. You're feeling something. But if you can, from a masterclass perspective, if you can try to take those ingredients, take those energies, and use them as an opportunity for you to look at wider issues within you, such as anger, such as why does it bother me so much that my neighbour feels differently from me? Why am I so attached to this? If you are a master manifester, which you are, if you are a master magician, which you are, why are you so attached to any story? Why are you so attached to any timeline? Why are you so attached to any person, whether they're Donald Trump or anybody else? Why are we so attached to having to be right? Now, all of us are going to face this in all countries, and every single country is going to experience what I'm about to say, which is that the tower moment that is coming down around the world, we are going to have to be flexible. The ones that survive, the species, the human species is only able to survive if we are adaptable. Adaptability is strength. What this means in the context of what I'm talking about here is the fact that if you're too tunnel visioned and only being able to see that this person is right, this person is wrong, this person is light, this person is dark, with the exposure that is going to be coming up in our world, which is going to be showing the dualistic nature of everybody, we're all going to be in for a shock. We're all going to be in for a shock. So it's much better to try to have a flexible mindset, which is basically, well, either I don't really like you, I don't really like what you stand for, I don't really approve of that, but I'm open to being able to see that there might be some good in you, that actually there might be something that you're doing behind the scenes that I hadn't understood or that I hadn't comprehended, or that actually, all of that I disapprove of, but actually that was good. You're a good father, or you're this, or you're that, or actually I didn't realize you gave all that money away and you did good with that. That's duality, okay? But equally on the other side of the fence, that it's like I really love this person and I'm really into this, and my identity is tied up with supporting them and following them or admiring them, and aren't they wonderful and haven't I got them on a pedestal? That's not going to serve you. Much better is to have the attitude which is that I do admire this person. I admire that they've stood up for this, that they've said that they've done this in their life, that they came from that upbringing. But I really don't like what I'm hearing now about them. But that doesn't mean that I've got to swing the pendulum right the way to the other side. I'm going to be somewhere in the middle. I'm able to basically see the light and the dark in every single person. And, back to how do I feel about Trump? I honestly, genuinely, as I'm sitting here today, 31st of May, let's timestamp it, I don't have a strong opinion either way. I'm able to see the good in the guy, and I'm able to see the shadow in the guy. Absolutely 100%. It's as though, if you've followed me for a number of years, you will testify to the fact I never jumped on the whole QAnon bandwagon that a lot of spiritual teachers did. I was a bit cynical at the time, because I think a lot of them do that because it gets followers and it's like it's the popular thing to do. I mean, if you follow that still, it's fine. You can. I'm not saying you're wrong. It's just that I didn't do that. I've always just tried to, I don't know, there've been times I've really not liked what I'm hearing about him, and there's other times where I think actually I can see you're standing up for something, and I do like the fact that whatever. I'm not even going to get into what I like about him, what I don't like about him. I just feel pretty middle way with it all. And so maybe I'm here to just try to be the bridge. If I've done this video to the best of my ability, I will have triggered both sides of the debate. I'll have triggered people who absolutely love Trump and people who can't stand him, because that's just the fallout of trying to bring forward a middle way teaching on this. Let's now pull a card from the Christ Consciousness deck. I will actually just say one other thing. The final thing that I've written on this scrappy piece of note coming into this video was I wanted to mention something about Melania Trump. Where was she during his trial? You know, there was part of me that felt sorry for him, that he was going in there every day without his wife. Now, it may be that she just didn't want to be involved in it. Maybe she doesn't like him. Maybe she loves him and is worried about him. I don't know what it is. Maybe she just needed to be there for Baron. But I noticed that his son was the one who really was there for him. There's something in marriage vows which is for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in court or not in court. Let me just pull a couple of cards on her, actually. Let's just do that quickly before we get to the Christ consciousness. Melania, just anything to say, Spirit, with regard to Melania Trump at this time. Interesting. Very, very interesting. This card and the one on the bottom I'm going to take. The Magician. It's a woman. It's a female magician. And it's the Queen of Cups. Now, what star sign is she? Is she water? Let me just have a little look. Melania Trump. Astrology. Taurian. Okay, so no, she's not a water sign. Moon in Capricorn. No, she's definitely not. Well, who's the water one then? Is that Ivanka, mate? Anyway, it doesn't matter who it is. We've got very strong feminine cards. They say behind every good man is a strong woman, or an even stronger, even more good woman, whatever the phrase is. Because it feels like she is doing something behind the scenes. She's weaving her magic behind the scenes. Two of Wands and Justice. And the Star. Well, they're quite nice cards, to be absolutely fair. And the King of Pentacles. I don't know if my camera's picking up this card very well. It's tiny, but King of Pentacles there looks very Pan. Pan, the god Pan. Wine, women and song. I mean, Trump is very much into wine, women and song. Although he doesn't drink, does he? He doesn't drink. But there's the King of Pentacles surrounded by money and nice food. So that's Trump. And then Melania is the Magician. And we've got Justice, the Two of Wands and the Star. Don't know, I'm just picking up she's powerful. She's a powerful lady. She's weaving her magic behind the scenes. Before we do that, let's ask the cards again. I'm just going to ask Trump going forward. Donald Trump going forward. So today's date is 31st of May. Donald Trump going forward. Show me his energy going forward, please. Two of Wands and Strength. And Death, but I'm not reading it as death. Ten of Wands, Seven of Pentacles, Page of Cups. Okay. That's interesting. Look at. I'm sorry. I just want to. Need them to be here. I can't put them all up so you can see every card. I need to just read it so I can intuitively say what I'm feeling. This is really calling me, this card. This is the Eight of Wands, but it's upside down. This feels as though all of the attacks on him are bouncing off him. Now, you might say, what are you going on about? He's just been convicted. But I don't know. We've got the Strength card. And the Death card to me, you see, is that, and the Ten of Wands, it's difficult. It's hard for him to carry on. This would have killed anybody else, to be perfectly honest. This would have killed anybody else. He has a way of being able to bounce back. Melania is still holding the vision of a second term, definitely. This just feels to me as though the attacks on him, it's like a return to sender type energy is what I'm feeling. Return to sender. Return to sender. Address unknown. No such person. No such phone. There's something about these are faceless. The people behind the attacks on him are faceless. You see the people on the world stage who are, the prosecutors, the attackers, the people who are his arch enemies. But there's another layer behind that who are actually firing the shots. But I'm just feeling as though this is like return to sender. Put it this way, if this guy is meant to be president again, he will be, and nothing's going to stop it. Nothing's going to stop it. Four of Pentacles, as I said that. Okay. I want to leave that to one side for one moment. I'm not going to pull cards on Biden right now. I want to stick to Trump. I want to go back to how you can help yourself or what the lessons are in all of this from a spiritual perspective. Let's go to the Christ Consciousness deck and see what cards come out. We've got gentleness, respond softly. Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting as well that this card, a lot of people think it's Mary and Jesus, but actually when Jane painted it, the intention was it was meant to show a refugee. It was meant to be a refugee fleeing a war zone, whether it be Gaza or Syria. That was the intention behind that painting. And obviously you've got a refugee crisis in your country. So there's a nod to that it has to be dealt with softly, gently, that there are other people's children and people's children there. I don't want to get into the whole refugee thing in this video, but we've just got gentleness. Respond softly. Respond softly to each other. There's too much harshness. There's too much, trying to whack each other over the head with a proverbial, who's right, who's wrong. Just respond gently. If we could all just respond more gently to each other, we can soften all of the tempo. We've got the card of be open-minded. Be open-minded. That's a very violet pill, actually, the more I think about that. Be open-minded. It's be aware of what you don't know. The truth is nobody knows all of it, and you might never, ever do so. You know what you've been told or what you've read, and that's come through a filter to some degree. And then when you look from a soul perspective at anybody, whether it's Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or any of them, then you're going to see things very differently as well. That these characters have come in to stir up the pot, to show what's there, to show the dark underbelly, to show how easy it is to divide, etc. So new vintage, be open-minded. Just be the best advice I can give, and I'm practicing it myself in my own life. There are people that I admire, etc., on the world stage. I've said this before, if I look back on particularly my personal Facebook page, certainly over 5 years, certainly over 10, but even a couple of years, and I'll read back and it's like, oh God, no, I got that one wrong, or I wasn't right about that person. I really thought that they were this and they really aren't. And that's okay. It's okay. In fact, it's good. We should all be like that, because if you're just thinking the whole time, I'm right, and I was right then, and I'm right now, and I'm going to be right in the future, and you're wrong, we're never going to get anywhere, are we? It's okay to be proven wrong about something. And every single person standing on the world stage has got something to teach us, good or bad, about ourselves, about the world, and about each other. So be open-minded. I'm also feeling this card of be open-minded is with regard to be open-minded as to what can happen. Don't be too tunnel-visioned, which is why I don't want to go too much into the tarot cards in terms of what's going to happen and who's going to win and is he going to prison and all of this, because all that's doing is you're just reading a potential timeline, and it can change like that. And it changes by us remembering that we're the magician. And that's why I find it so interesting that Melania is coming through as this magician in the background. You know, it's like, where the hell is she? Well, actually, maybe she's doing something quite powerful in the background that, you know, I feel she is. I love the fact that on the bottom of the deck we've got the Fellowship card, which is a nod to the Sikh faith, and the Langar, which is to do with coming together in fellowship, sharing a meal. What are the common things that unite us? Food is one of the common things that unite us. We all have to eat. Sport is something that unites us. Music is something that unites us. Find the common ground. Find the common ground. Sit with people of different faiths, of different persuasions, and learn. We've also got the card of temptation on the bottom of the deck. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. As I said, there are times when we should just learn to zip it. Also, there are times when we just need to cover our ears, because that gossip over there and the person just rubbing salt in the wound, I don't want to see that. I don't want to hear it. You know, I don't want your gloating. I don't. What our eyes should be open to is other people's suffering and other people's. That's the most important thing, because that's what Jesus teaches. We've got the lion heart energy here. Stand tall, stand strong. It's fine to have differences of opinion, to believe in something, but just put it this way. What I'm being shown here is there can be two lions in the jungle, both whom have got considerable power. Respect both, okay? And that's not necessarily a nod to anybody. Right, my camera says I've only got 4 minutes left. In my battery, no, it's not battery. Okay, 4 minutes left. So let's have a final card. Let's have a card from the Metatron deck, actually. Unity Consciousness is on the bottom of the deck. Let's have a card from Metatron. Anyway, I hope this helped. I just wanted to come on and say something. And I send my love to you all. I also send love to Donald Trump. I send love to Joe Biden. I send love to all of the politicians, because actually they're all representative of us. We've got the card of leadership. Shine on, I want to say. Answer the call. Who are tomorrow's leaders? Who are tomorrow's leaders? We've also got the card of higher realms and magic. That feels a nod to people like JFK and Spirit, who are guiding your great nation. And we've got the card of duality. Okay, somehow you have to come back into balance. And if we end with that card of duality, it's a reminder that the light will always have a little bit of shadow in it, and the shadow will always have a little bit of light. Balance needed at this time. Okay, take great care, everybody. Lots of love. I'm going to put this up in a moment, and then I'll be recording some other videos for you soon. I'm going to do the Mark Bolan channeling, which I'm looking forward to. Talk about a different type of energy, but that's going to be good. And what else? Oh, I'm going to do a June energy update. I'm going to do a UK election reading thing. I'll do a spiritual news video soon. South Africa has got the results of its general election on Saturday or Sunday. So whoever wins that, we'll have a look at them. What else is going on? I don't know. It's all just going on, isn't it, basically? Anyway, thanks very much. Be respectful to each other in the comments if they are on. If they're not, I'm sure you will understand why. Thank you. Please give me a like, though, to get this video out there and past the algorithm. It's like trying to break over a bloody reef, this algorithm, just so we can get this work out more to people that really need to hear it. If you've benefited from it, please like so other people can as well. Thank you. Bye for now. Bye.